Hello Sim Pilots and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and this is F-15C review number 3. This video is by request. I wasn't initially going to do it, but someone specifically asked if I would. So we're going to go ahead and give it another shot. I've downloaded the latest update. I haven't read through the change logs. We're just going to catch this just like I like to do from a first-time experience without trying to focus on any particular one item. One thing I want to clarify, disclaimer, please don't skip this because people always get this mixed up. I am not expecting a fully functional weapon system. I'm not expecting radar, avionics to be the same in the F-15 for DCS world. I'm not expecting a working RWR ejection sheet targeting system. You name it, I'm not expecting that. What I'm expecting as I do my review of the F-15 is I'm simulating, pretending, if you will, that I am a civilian who want to ride in the F-15. So obviously, as a civilian, we're never going to get to use the weapon system. We're never going to get to, use RWR, things like that. I just want to know, is it fun to fly? Do I feel like I'm flying in an F-15 over my hometown, the city of Tucson, ripping past my parents' house, scaring the crap out of the dogs? Okay, that's what we're going for today. So without further ado, let's get into it and see what we've got today. So, stepping into the cockpit, the first thing that catches my attention right away is it looks like some tint has been added to the front windscreen here, which I don't believe exists in the real F-15. I don't really care. That's not a problem for me. I don't have a problem with that at all, actually. And if I were to take a shot in the dark based on my previous two experiences, I'm willing to bet that has to do with the HUD and increasing the visibility of it. So, a couple things that I'm going to be looking for in this one is sound, obviously, seeing if there's been any updates to the sound, checking for dynamic sounds, does the sound get louder with the canopy open or closed? Do we have any canopy noise? Checking the taxi. The taxis in the previous version, the aircraft wanted to wobble pretty bad. It sort of felt like you were skiing on rails. Takeoff, I'm going to be looking for a more, elongated takeoff. Does it feel like you actually have to roll with the aircraft? Now, keeping in mind that the F-15 it was one of the most powerful aircraft in the world for a very long time. Those engines rip. So, you're not going to be sitting still for very long, and I totally expect that. She gets up and moving. But, just checking the fluidity of the controls. Does it feel like you're flying a fighter, or does it feel like you're flying a train on wheels? Right? That's kind of what we're going to be looking for today. This aircraft does have a price point of, I believe, $39.99. Now, it comes with 4 variants of it. The F-15C, the D, the E, and the I. My objection previously was never to the aircraft itself. It is to the price point in comparison to what you are given. That has been my issue. I want to make that clear. My issue is not that any developer put out an F-15 of any quality. I don't care what the quality was. My point is, does the price point match what you're paying for? And does the aircraft match the description on the selling site? Okay, if you read at justflights.com, if you read the description of the F-15, after you read it and you read about high quality textures and all the necessary avionics systems, and you purchase this aircraft, do you really feel that's what you're getting? That's what I'm always about. Okay, is are you getting what you're paying for? All right, so let's get moving. As far as the texturing goes, it looks about the same. Looks like there might have been some updates. Got some reflection here on the throttle handles I don't recall seeing before. The stick actually looks a little bit better than what I recall. But that could be lighting, but it may be an improvement. It doesn't look quite as dull. Yeah, no, it does look better, so that's good. That's good to see. Looks like there's definitely been some adjustments to the texturing. The weathering on the aircraft looks fantastic. I don't have any issue with that. Again, it looks like there might have been some adjustments happening here. Let's go ahead and open the canopy up. And the first thing I want to do is we're going to start the engines. I'm just going to use the auto start. I'm not worried about the startup process, whether that's accurate, inaccurate. Don't care about that. I know that's not the goal of this particular aircraft. Now the sounds have definitely changed. I can tell that right away. Because that's a JFS, and that should be extremely louder, especially with the canopy open. But let's go ahead and close the canopy. Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Great job on that, devs. The sound has changed based on the canopy being closed. I think the only thing that I would adjust, again, is the JFS. It should be just blowing our eardrums out. But that sounds great. Okay, that was kind of neat. It even shook the aircraft. All right, props on that, guys. So far, this is a massive improvement. Massive improvement. Got engine 2 spinning up now. Go ahead and close that canopy. That was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, that was pretty awesome. That felt powerful. I saw the aircraft jolt as the engine kicked over. I don't know if that's legit or not, but I liked it. Alright, some of the other things that we're going to be looking at here, it looks like this has been adjusted. So before you had nav 180F, which is fine down here, the autopilot panel. These are the annunciator lights is what they've done here for the autopilot. So these aren't the actual buttons, but they'll light up as the individual systems over here are enabled. And it looks like before this text was literally just like laid onto the panel here, where now they've given some detent here, make it sort of look like it was, or some depression, excuse me, making it look like it's like a screen. Now that's not realistic to the real aircraft, but again, in the real aircraft, it'd probably be up here on one of the MFDs, so that's totally fine. Again, I'm not expecting working MFDs and all the systems to be the same. That's totally cool. That's a creative way to implement that. I don't have a problem with that. Now let's look on the HUD next. Alright, so flipping on the HUD, the legibility does look like it's been adjusted, and again, I'm willing to bet it has to do with that tint going behind it. The heading tape is still real hard to see, and I'm willing to bet this thing vanishes in the sun, but that's probably not too unrealistic. Again, so far, Dean and the guys there, this is much better. This is much better. Let's take a look at the alright. The inlet ramp should be on. Anti-skid should be on. Got a transponder. Okay, so well, it doesn't seem. Was that actually working? Okay, so the animation doesn't work, but as you can see up here at the top, the transponder code is changing. A little hard to see, a little hard to manipulate from here, but again, not the end of the world, and being on 4K resolution probably has something to do with that. I mean, I can zoom in and see it just fine now, so I'm okay with that. Nav frequency. Where do we change our nav frequencies at? So let's. I'm not going to be worrying about testing the navigation portion of it, as far as the, I'm not going to be looking into trying out any ILS approaches or things like that. I'm just curious what the functionality looks like. So what is this changing? Because it says it's changing something. Oh, this is the radio frequencies. Okay, so that's your comm frequencies. Alright, that's nav, and that's nav, and that's comm decimal and comm whole numbers. And then how do we transfer the comm channel? We have the nav standby. Doesn't appear to be doing anything on either one of those channels, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Huh. Yeah, I can't seem to change that. Next thing that I had an issue with last time was the heading bug, and it looks like this is new. This wasn't here before. Oh, would you look at that? Okay, so it's kind of weird, but you can use your mouse wheel, hover over it, and click it. But something I've done is I actually have my autopilot controls mapped to my HOTAS, so I'm pressing a button here that's going to select the heading bug, and now I'm going to use my buttons plus or minus, is what they are in the Oh wait, well that's the heading bug. Interesting. That's the heading bug. And that's the course wheel is here, which is good. That displays now. We have the course. Be interesting to see if we get a distance number from the... And I can actually drag it all the way around. You just click and hold it one way. And it is moving the heading bug. Huh, I'm not quite sure what that's about. I'm not sure what this is, what the purpose of that is. But that's alright. That's fine. Again, definitely not a game breaker. So, next step is let's taxi her out. Actually, you know what? Let's check out one more thing. We're going to go to the external view for a second. And one of the bigger issues previously was the lights. So we're just going to see how they look. Nose wheel light illuminating the ground. Navigation light seemed to be okay. Looks like there's still... Yeah, you can see the green dot kind of thing. So they don't really illuminate, but it's a dot. It's a light. It's there. The nose wheel light illuminates the ground, but there's no illumination from the bulb. But again, not a deal breaker. So let's get back into the seat and let's take a look at taxiing her out and getting airborne. So I'm going to release the parking brake. Get my rudder pedals back under where they belong. Sorry, I was racing earlier. Taxi is much better. So, massive improvement. I'm gonna say there's a big improvement already. They've caught my attention. And we have a long runway to use. Alright, so ground speed. Let me check something. Something just caught my attention. Hang on. Alright, well. Alright, so taxiing at 15 knots. Let's pull it back for a second. If I go to make a sharp turn, I can't do it even with full rudders. But if I apply... Looks like you have to be below 10 knots in order to get the nose wheel authority to be at maximum, which that may be legit. I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate too much on that. Now we're taxiing, or we're taking off a little short, but we'll see what happens. Actually, we're taking off a lot of short. But we'll spin her up nice and hot before we release the brakes. Nice turn axis on the nose wheel. Alright, so the big moment, here we go. Applying full power. Brakes off. Looking for 150 knots for rotation. She's stable on the runway. Natural rudder correction is all that's needed. There's 150. Wheels up. Takeoff was definitely a lot better, much more realistic, much more natural feeling, I guess, if you will. Controls very responsive, very snappy, like you would get, I would expect out of an F-15. And to some degree, you know, everyone keeps going off on a tangent with this when I mention this, but yes, I own the F-15C for DCS World, and it's a $10 aircraft, and so I've been flying it for a long time. It was actually the first, it's how I started my YouTube channel, was doing a tutorial series on the F-15 for DCS. And so, I mean, yeah, I've got some comparison for a similar quality product. I mean, it's a $10 aircraft, you know, and yes, in a different simulator, and again, that's why I say I am not expecting any weapon system to work. I'm not expecting that. But the flight model for 10 bucks should be similar to what I'm feeling here. Vertical axis, Seems a little springy, if you will. Like if you watch the way it moves. A little weird. But not a deal breaker. I will say right off the bat, guys, this is by far the best rendition of this aircraft that I have flown yet. They definitely seem to be hearing the public and the community. Some adjustments have definitely been made to the aircraft. It's flying much smoother. Let's check something here. So here's what we're going to do. Autopilot system on. Altitude hold. Hands off the controls. We're still showing a descent of 30 feet per minute, but I mean, at the same token, I'm not seeing the altitude actually descending, so, well, there it goes. Looks like it's slowly smoothing out. Let's put her into a heading mode. Heading mode. Should center the heading bug. Yep, there it goes. Selecting the heading bug. And let's start turning us north. Doing a decent job at maintaining altitude. We lost a little bit there. Sorry, playing around with my camera views. Alright, so I mean, that looks good. Let's check, if I were to go into vertical speed mode, I'm kind of curious. So the autopilot system, at least functional, at least usable. I'll give them that. So that's an improvement. Absolutely. I'm going to disengage the autopilot. And finally, I'm going to check a landing. So there's our runways. I'm going to just bring it to the right. Start pulling some power off. Let's do a hard pull on it. We should bleed power like crazy. It looks like the drag on it has definitely been changed. Pulling pretty tight. She's still holding speed pretty well, but again, not bad. Last time I flew it, this was... getting it to lose speed was like pulling teeth from a goat. Alright, so pulling the power off, trying to trim the nose up. Now, one of my other issues in the past was this is the VVI, or Velocity Vector Indicator, also known as the Flight Path Marker, and this is the aircraft datum, the W. The aircraft datum is nothing more than a visual reference of where the nose of the aircraft is pointing. Where this circle is, the flight path indicator, is supposed to be exactly what it sounds like. Wherever this circle is on, that's where the aircraft is supposed to end up. So if your circle here is on the back of a pickup truck, you're going to end up in the back of a pickup truck. And last time what I saw on the landing was that that was not the case. I could put this on the threshold and it was nowhere close. So we're going to be comparing to seeing which... what we have to do to get the landing accurate. I believe last time I had to use the aircraft datum in order to accurately get down, but, and again, not a huge deal breaker. It's just curious on functionality. So here we go. We're going to start bringing it around. Going for stage 1 flaps here. Thought we were flying over my house for a second. We're flying close to it. I think that's my daughter's school. And I don't have my head tracker on, which is why some of the navigation lineup's going to be a little crappy. Oh, actually, that worked out pretty good. I'll take that. Alright, let's go ahead and take her down to flaps 2. Get that gear down. There she goes. And we get back in the seat. we should be slowing down much more than this. Ooh, get some stuttering. What's this all about? Try to get the camera view up a bit. Yeah, okay, so I can tell you right there, I can tell you right now it's the aircraft datum that we're following. This is what we're following is the W. We're not following the flight path indicator, otherwise we'd be falling much steeper. So I'm going to keep that datum on the threshold. So that's not accurate. That part's not accurate, but again, I'm not going to call that a deal breaker. Makes it a little hard to determine. I mean, we got our AOA indicator there on the left side of the HUD, but yeah, definitely using the datum. But it looks like the datum at positive 3 degrees is giving us just about a 3-degree glide slope. So, give or take. Now, normally we'd want to deploy the speed brakes right as we touch down, but honestly, I don't know what the command is. Come on, floater. Now, keep in mind, I do not have and do not know if this has the fix for the current bug. Alright, holding that nose up, looking for some of that aerodynamic braking. Holding that nose up forever and ever. So you're supposed to hold it up until you pass 100 knots, but she doesn't want to pass 100 knots. I could do a wheelie the entire way down. Alright, let's let her down. And again, I didn't have the air brake deployed. And you do deploy them once the main wheels touch. Helps prevent bouncing. Okay, so let's talk about a few things right off the bat. First off, to the devs, this is the best rendition of this aircraft I've seen yet. It was fun to fly. It was smooth. I didn't feel like I was fighting the controls through the entire time. The graphics of the aircraft seem to be improved. The sound is much improved. The dynamic sound is a very nice feature. And, you know, as silly as it sounds to be so focused on something about, like, sound is such a huge part of immersion. Especially, for example, if you're flying in VR. Sound is everything. And it's those little details that can take you out of the immersion. And that's the difference between an arcade game and simulation. For me, you know, and this is why I was so hard about it in previous releases, was that if you're going to spend the money on this, and Microsoft Flight Simulator is already expensive enough, like somebody pointed out, you know, if you wanted just for this aircraft, you were so excited, Microsoft Flight Simulator released the F-15, I can fly around my hometown, I can't wait. Somebody pointed this out in one of the comments on the previous video. After you've purchased the base version of Microsoft Flight Simulator and this aircraft, you're $100 in right there, you know. So you got to have certain features in, and I think this time they've definitely improved tenfold over the previous versions. This was a very decent experience. There were parts of it that were very nice. There are parts of it that still need to be adjusted. Again, that whole floating thing that we just did on the runway, guys, I'm pretty sure that has to do with the bug with the Sobo, with the whole coefficient on the flaps lift. Okay, it's double what it should be. So that's going to keep the aircraft afloat significantly longer. So some of that, I don't know if that fix was included in the patch I downloaded. I didn't look. So that could be just take that with a grain of salt, okay? The other thing that should have happened, it's part of the procedures for landing the F-15, is you deploy the air brake at the point where the main wheels touch the ground. It spoils the lift on the fuselage. I mean, that's the nice thing about the F-15. It's a giant kite. The whole thing makes it fly. I'm sure many of you have heard of that story where the F-15, in I believe it was Israel, lost the entire right wing and was able to get it down. And it's because that whole fuselage is just generating lift, plus it's a rocket in the sky. He also landed faster than probably any F-15 on the planet ever could, but he made it work. Amazing story. If you haven't ever seen it, look it up on YouTube. F-15 loses wing and lands, and trust me, you'll find it. It's an old video. But anyway, so final thoughts on this. It's good. It's good. It's come a long way. It's a nice improvement from the previous versions I've seen. Am I willing to stamp $40 on it? In my opinion, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer than that. I'm torn. They're on the right road. I will give them that. They are on the right road. And again, I could see this being a lot of fun to fly now. I could see us, taking a trip from Davis-Monthan here in Tucson, maybe down to Yuma or something like that. Down to the Marine base down in Yuma. Yeah, and could you actually functionally use it? Now, I haven't tested out the nav frequencies to see if you can even do precision approaches or anything like that. But even then, as long as you can steer your course needle, you can actually use the nav needle to steer to VOR, ILS frequencies, at least get you to the runway, and after that, you do your pilot stuff and you land the plane. So I'm going to say, again, I'm just going to stress massive improvement. It is enjoyable now. That was a smooth flight. The landing was predictable. The flight path indicator, not reliable, but figured out very quickly. And you can tell right away, based on your pitch angle and watching the way the aircraft's descending, you can tell which one is following. So, you guys saw how quickly I caught on to which one was following. Now, I had seen it before, but even in the previous video, I caught it very quickly which one it was following. So you can tell, you just have to, draw a line mentally from your head to the nose of the airplane and say, oh, this is where it's headed, So I'm going to say, yeah, I definitely won't say anything bad about them anymore. I definitely think that this is the point where the aircraft should have been at release. I will say that. I think this is where we should have been when the aircraft was launched. And I think a lot of the negative feedback that came initially with the launch never would have happened. It's the only thing I'll say about that. But again, great job to the devs. I'll let you guys make the decision if you want to purchase this. And to give you guys a little bit further support there, I will even have a link in the description. This is the first of the 3 videos that I've ever done this, but I'm going to put a link in the description of where you can purchase this aircraft for yourself if you so choose. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave those comments down below. Let me know your thoughts and your experiences with the new release of the F-15. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.